Hello, George.
Hey, David, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Really good.
Are you hearing
Yeah,
me
really nice
okay?
to meet you.
Yeah, very nice to meet you once again. I had the privilege of meeting you when you were in Victoria, BC, a little while back. I got to come to your all day event, which was absolutely fantastic. So it's been a little while there, but I'm really glad that you're able to come on and do this call with me tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy.
Hey, no, you're very, very welcome. And I do remember now because you're one of the guys that came up to me afterwards.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I remember now.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
there was. Were you there with a group of three other gentlemen?
I remember some of the other people there. I actually came on my own, but during the day it was pretty cool because in the breaks you got to mingle with people and talk to everybody, and so
Yeah,
yeah, it was really really great. And I no, I had a great time. I've been following your work for quite some time now, and checking out some of your interviews. And I had recently saw, or it was a couple months back, I watched your video blog that you had done on the period that we're in and the solstice, the equinox, and some of your thoughts and whatnot. And it just really struck me as just profound. It made me think very deeply about things because I've been researching, different things on various levels for a couple of years or for a few years now. And paying attention, watching the lamestream media and also following the alternative media, and I just found that your insights were very intuitively based and very well expressed. And so I had a ton of questions for you, and I'm just honored to be sitting here chatting with you. So thanks again. This is great.
Uh, you're so welcome, Dave. It's great. I love to give people the opportunity to ask me some really good questions. And is my audio coming through okay and things like that? Do we need to do any adjustments or anything?
No, I think you're coming great on my end here. I'm just checking out my recorder. I think everything's going great. So the beautiful thing about this is that I like to do this in very much a conversational type style where there's no limitations, there's no taboo subjects, there's no judgment or anything like that. I just record it and we go as long as we need to go and cover whatever that we want to cover. So it's pretty much a free for all, and there's no commercial interruptions, which is also very great. So
Well, that's nice. Yeah, that's always nice.
yeah, I've been on a show on American Freedom Radio, just standing in for Santo Spinacci for the last few weeks, and it's been a little bit different because I'm not used to having all the going to break and commercial interruptions and introducing the show. So it's been a little bit fun, but I honestly prefer this format because I feel like it's a little bit more personal. You get to know the person a bit more, and you can relax, and you can because once you get into a really good subject, you can just let it keep going. And so yeah, this is great.
Yeah, the conversation seems to get into a rhythm and the flow and it's there, and I much prefer these styles as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So, how's the weather up in your neck of the woods there?
Mate, we finally got some rain,
Oh, yeah.
so we're very, very pleased about that. It's been very dry where we live. In the last 6 months, we'd only had about an inch of rain, so it was, quite unusual only to have that much. Even though it's a dry area, it's not that dry.
Hmm.
And so finally, the farmers are, sighing a sense of relief, and the ground is just, yeah, it's softened up a bit again, which is nice to feel.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's kind of the same here actually, because I'm in Toronto, Canada, and we've been having drastic fluctuations in weather. Like it's been incredible. Like ever since supposedly winter was supposed to end, we just had these cycles of one day it's summer, one day it's spring, one day it feels like fall, then it's winter again. We got a snowstorm, and then I'm out in shorts, and it's like it's been so sporadic. And I don't know. Maybe we can even start talking about some of that stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've watched what's been going on with tornadoes that have been picking up again. It seems like we're hitting into that season, and that really horrible situation that happened outside Oklahoma there. And then
Yeah,
we just seems to have sporadic weather all over the place. Everybody that I talk to has been telling me that the weather patterns are just unpredictable. The farmers are losing their minds, and it's pretty chaotic in terms of the weather. Would you agree with that?
things are definitely changing. It's the bipolar disorder of Mother Earth. Everything's reaching very extreme polarized compression, and we're seeing that being reflected in the weather patterns at times as well. Like, rarely you'll get a nice, easy steady rain patterns like we used to. We just don't see them anymore, where the rain would settle in for a couple of days and then just slowly move away. And you used to get the occasional storm. Now it's just always a storm. And
Hmm.
it's never just an easy set of rain moving in, and just that gentle soaking rain that you get over a couple of days. We don't experience that here anymore. It's just disappeared. So it's
Wow.
either really dry or you get the really intense storm that comes through.
Wow. Yeah, it's quite interesting when you think about how much of this is actually, we've got a lot of elements at play, and I'm sure I definitely feel that it's a reaction that's taking place from the planet, being that you've been talking for a long time about this period of transition that we're going through. There's many levels to this, but then there's also certain technologies that are on the planet, like these HARP technologies and weather modification and all of this, which would only throw a natural organism into sort of a sporadic defense mechanism in a way. And I don't know if what it's hard to always tell if it's just something that's natural, if it's something that is being instigated or aggravated in some way. I don't know what you think about what the difference would be, or if you have any insight as to how you've been feeling lately, if you've been feeling more that it is sort of a Mother Earth transitional cycle. Obviously that's always ongoing, but then how much of that is also being influenced by certain personages on the planet type of thing, right?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I feel that there's both going on, and to distinguish between the two of them in any given event is, sometimes a little bit challenging. If people can always look at anomalous cloud structures and unusual sort of behaviours. Some people can now record where the heart's been used a few days in advance, and there is a bit of a theory going around that was part of the Oklahoma issue. I don't know whether it was or not.
Hmm.
The other issue is, for me, I'd have to say, is the ley line grid, the artificial ley line grid that's been placed over the planet. So it's like, Mother Earth is shackled in chains, and she's been like that for a very long time. So I feel she's getting to the point where, she's I've had enough of this. It's enough now.
Hmm.
And, we're seeing little bits and pieces of it. And I think it'll just get worse. It'll just continue to grow in its intensity. And we're going to begin to see more of these, what everybody's been waiting for, is what we've called the Earth changes for such a very long time.
Hmm.
And I think just the evidence is overwhelming now behind it's kind of like in the energetic framework behind the physical arena. The evidence is there with the magnetic fields, with the ethereal templates, with the ley line grids, with all the chemical modifications of weather. It's just so much of it behind the layers, behind what we experience in the mundane five sense reality, and even those overlap into the five sense reality. Even though they're there, a lot of people don't seem to take any notice of it.
Hmm.
The evidence is just overwhelming now that very soon something is going to give. Something's already starting to change. The sun's changed from yellow to white. When we were kids, it was yellow.
Yeah.
Now it's white. I mean, the evidence is just so overwhelming. We all just, it's pretty much playing the waiting game at the moment to see when Mother Earth does decide to have a go. And I think it's also going to depend on the drama that gets played out on the planet, because the energies of the greater dramas that are going to play out in the public arena are also going to have effect on these framework patterns behind the scene.
Yeah, no, and it's great that you brought that up, because it was one of the things I wanted to start with you, was that we have been going through these periods of time. We've had the the December 21st date. We've had we just had the equinox date, and it seems to be that what we were talking about, or what was sort of predicted in a way, was that this all in all was a period of time that we're going through. It wasn't necessarily a specific day, but it just seems to me that when you're looking at it, it seems to be that it's an exponential situation where there's a lot of energies playing in. There's maybe a lot of things that are trying to stop some of those natural processes that would have otherwise taken place, or trying to synthetically create something that would serve some kind of an agenda or whatnot, and maybe people listening that think that those technologies or those abilities aren't possible. As you said, there's a lot of evidence to show, and there's research out there for people to look at about those things. But it seems to be that a lot of people were very much hoping that December 21st, 2012, either we're going to be completely enlightened and living in this blissful utopia and everything gets turned around and it's a happy ending, or on the other hand, you had a lot of fear campaigns where people were saying, "Oh no, it's the end of the world," and that's it. That's the end of the ride. And neither one of those really took place specifically on that day. And that's not to say that any specific energies or whatever, or there was processes underway, but it doesn't seem like there was anything definitive. You know what I mean? So, what was your take on it? Yeah.
Not in the public arena, there wasn't. And that's where a lot of people who are doing I'll use this wording, languaging, doing the complaining and the whinging and the whining, seems to be from peoples who have their attention mostly based in the drama of the Matrix. That's where they're at. And that's why they got upset. And it's also, I can take this in so many directions. On a personal level, I experienced monumental changes. People that are our friends and also have their awareness outside the Matrix. We've all been going through monumental changes. I've been going through monumental changes within myself. I've got deep-seated pain coming to the surface and having to deal with that I thought I'd already dealt with. And I feel like it's kind of like a big last cleaning out of the closet, so to speak. People don't want to go there. They don't want to deal with those sorts of pain. They'd rather bury it and then wait for everyone else to do it for them. It's really important that we come to realise that this is our planet and that we have to instigate the changes. It's not going to... If somebody wants someone else to do it for them, they're giving their power away. They're waiting for a saviour. They're waiting for a saviour in the form of the majority of the world is waiting for a saviour in the form of a deific figure, because the majority of the minds of the world are immersed in a religious dogmatic program. And then the ones who are not immersed in that program, which is a minority on the planet, which is generally people like us, still a large percentage of those people are waiting for someone else to do it for them in the form of an extraterrestrial group to come and clean up the planet, or they're waiting for a technology to come and do it for them, or they're waiting for whatever, in whatever form you want to give the externalization of hope.
Yeah.
We need to realize that we've incarnated. We have this level of awareness. We incarnated for a reason. We have this level of awareness that we are currently expressing and utilizing. But how are we using it? Are we using it just to whinge and whine and point the finger? Or are we actually going to use it to make the changes within ourselves and step up to the plate and then start making the changes happen in the world around us? There's so many people who are just riding on everyone else's back. And it's wrong. They've got to stop doing that. We're out there doing the best we can, and all these keyboard heroes just sit behind a pseudo name and whinge and whine and complain and really aren't doing anything to help the situation. In fact, all they're doing is contributing to make it worse. And it's really sad how they can be so judgmental and critical about other people where they don't take a look in the mirror and take a good look at themselves.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if anybody else is out there that said this, but it needs to be said. And people can hate me if they like. That's their crap. It's their shit. It's their problem. But the reality is we are all having a personal and intimate relationship with this planet. So what are you doing about it?
Mm.
What are you doing about that relationship? What are you doing about your responsibility towards humanity, towards Mother Earth, towards your co creative role in actually making this earth a better place, rather than just sitting back and pointing the finger at everybody else or externalizing and waiting for someone to come along and do it for you? And that's, these are the questions we've got to really look hard about ourselves. We've got to ask ourselves, where do we fit in this? Are we one of those people that are just pointing the finger, or are we one of these people who are going to roll up our sleeves, do the hard work, the internal work? You know, ascension is an inside job.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't care however anybody else wants to put it, because the idea of ascension, that's why we're now calling it incension, rather than us.
Yeah.
We're incensing rather than ascending. This whole idea of ascension has been geared towards people looking outside of themselves, towards extraterrestrials, towards this humanity being seduced by new technologies, towards deific figures coming along and saving the day. It's been propagated in the movies all the time by all these heroes that come along and save the day.
Mm.
And the masses are, oh, thank you, someone finally saved the day. It's up to us to do it for ourselves, and it's up to us to do it together. And the more we can actually get in touch with our inner selves and that relationship with Mother Earth, and know our place in this world, and know our place in this solar system and in this galaxy and in the cosmos and in the universe, the more we do that, then the more the changes really do start to happen. The framework, the changes that took place in December 21, 2012 and the equinox was the external framework, the changes of this reality. The framework has now changed. So the energetic templates and framework are in place for people who want to make it happen.
Wow. And wow,
Okay?
I kind of
It's
got
not
goosebumps
like
you saying that, because I
the
agree.
old program changed. Yeah?
Mm.
I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Oh no, sorry. I was just saying I totally agree, and I actually kind of I feel that definitely. And I George, the fact that you opened up with that and brought that out, that needs to be said more. I completely agree that it has to be internal. And so yeah, no, please continue. I think we got a couple connection issues. I'm just trying to fix my end here, but please go ahead and continue.
Yeah. And we really need to understand that that framework has now changed. The really it's facilitating now. The framework is there to facilitate the people who are ready to take responsibility for themselves, for their lives, and make the changes happen. Have a proactive, co-creative approach in making this world a better place. And knowing how to act, knowing when to act, how to go about it, the best place for all that understanding is within oneself. Because if we do it from just the headspace and just the ego, we're going to fall into the same old traps of the same old programs, that we've been, and run out of the same old ground that we did era after era after era. So we've got to go beyond all those concepts and beyond the influence of all these religious ideologies, spiritual concepts and ideas, and go back to the organic, authentic version of life that we have that resides deep within us. And it's our heart soul connection we have with our humanity, with our natural environment, with our Mother Earth, with our Father Son, with our galactic mother, with the universe, the universal creator. That is the organic path. And once we go back within ourselves and understand our place and our capacity, we understand our vocation in life, we understand our, what I call, our fundamental purpose. We all have natural talents and abilities, and all we need to do is flow in that state, in flow, allow those to come forth. It's like if you're being an accountant, right? Someone holds the position of accountant, but you absolutely love to be gardening, and that's your true passion, then you're actually living a lie. So really, that person should be working somewhere to do with gardening, with the natural fauna or flora, shall I say, of the planet. So when we start to realise just how many of us are living a lie, and we do step up to the plate and we do the courageous move and change our life circumstances, because people feel completely trapped. You know, they've got their current mortgage in place, the wage that they earn pays for that mortgage, the current relationships, friendships. It's like a framework they've set around themselves, and they actually become the prison walls. And people feel that they can't move from their circumstances because they're so stuck and entrenched in the current framework of life that they've created around them. And it's really important for them to realise that they're not stuck, they're only choosing to be stuck. And all that framework is set there, and what reinforces that framework is their own fears. So when we can actually be brave enough to break that framework, just to see it as an illusionary house of cards, and realise that we can change it anytime we want, and change what we do day to day, then we start flowing in our river of life. We start immersing ourselves in the energies and the resonant pattern, which is more in alignment with our true authentic nature. That's where our real power comes from. Then we're starting to be authentic. We're starting to be real about life. We're not continuing to be fake and living a lie, you know, which really only, which is the food and the fodder to the matrix. You know, all these people that are living, the majority of the world's population is living a lie. There's not many people doing what they truly love to do, and not being what they truly love to be. And so that emanation of living that way, that constant vibration that we are broadcasting, that is food and fodder and empowerment to the matrix. So the more you live a lie, the more you empower the matrix, the more you reinforce it. So we need to be more authentic about life. We need to be more real about life. We need to stop whinging and whining, pointing the finger and playing the blame game, because that's weak and pathetic and doesn't help anybody. It's different to, people can say, well, George, aren't you doing the same thing? No, I'm just saying how the controlling structures are. I'm bringing this to people's attention. I'm making people aware. I'm providing information to make people aware who's controlling what and why and all this sort of business. But it's up to us to actually change our life circumstances and make it happen. We need to empower ourselves. Don't expect anybody to do it for you. You know, I provide the information, but it's up to people to take that information and make it happen for themselves in their lives. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to do it for anybody. I can't. Only each person has to do it for themselves. You see, there's a magic key, you know, to opening these portals that I've always talked about. And these portals are real. They are actually real. But you won't open an external portal until you first open your internal portal. There is no way out of these lower vibrational patterns of the matrix except through your heart soul essence. And the magic key to opening the into these other realities is a person's heart. That is the magic key. And my heart cannot open your portal or your doorway into, for want of a better term, people say high vibrational realms, right? I can't do that for you. Only your heart will open your portal. So there's no one person who is a gatekeeper for all. Metaphorically speaking, you can say people are gatekeepers, you know, because we provide incredible information that helps people, you know, expand their awareness. Metaphorically, yes, but realistically, every person is their own gatekeeper. Now, that is really critical to understand that. Crucial. You are your gatekeeper. Nobody's going to open your portal for you. Only you can. And only your heart will open your portal. No one else can do it for you. And that is absolutely critical to understand. Absolutely crucial.
No, and that's so well put, George, because I've been feeling that on my journey that, sometimes these things that we have to look at, because, I mean, we have to look at some of this dark stuff to understand the situation that we're in. I think that's sort of this process of this age that we live in, is that we first have to take a look at all that dirt that we kept pushing under the rug and pushing into the closet, and it just built up into this huge mess that we just didn't want to clean up, and we didn't want to tend that garden, so to speak, right? And so that's how I've always looked into this period, is that maybe everybody was expecting these things to happen in a physical way, and maybe in some cases they are, but realistically it's like you said, it has to start within first, because isn't that how all of this reality operates anyways? Like, isn't that really how this is, where we are now? Like, so it only makes
I
sense.
love it.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, David. We are the creators of this reality. The reality that Earth is the way it is today because we wanted it that way.
Mm.
We made it that way. We've co created this. And until people can understand that about themselves, because all these other methods of other beings coming into it for us, they're all programs of disempowerment. And we've been through those cycles in different eras in other star systems, in other galactic realities, in other areas within the cosmic paradigm, in other dimensional realms as well. We've played those games. Now, there's some people on this planet that love playing that game and they want to continue it, to continue to give their power away, and they want to continue to play this game of disempowerment. But we're at the end. There's those of us who are at the end of that journey, you know?
Mm.
We're done with that.
Yeah.
We're done with those programs, and we're not interested in them anymore. And so people got to make a choice. Do they want to continue to play these games of disempowerment? They want to continue to be subservient? That's up to them, you know? Good for you if you want to. But me, I'm done with that. I'm now going back into true spiritual liberation and sovereignty and autonomy. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in subservience. I'm not interested in self righteousness,
Mm.
and superiority. I'm not interested in those qualities.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if we if we take a look at the way things are going, we have a lot of negative things going on in the world. We have a lot of positive things going on in the world. I mean, and you were saying earlier that your process throughout this transition at this point has been very much a personal thing, and I can echo that. I mean, I've had so much upheaval in my life. I've had, but a lot of very good things. I mean, I have a 1-year-old daughter. I'm the first time father, and that was an incredible experience of its own. And actually, it was really interesting because when we went to Victoria. We don't live there, but I have family there. And when I went to go see your production there, which was a fantastic talk. But we found out short thereafter that my wife was pregnant, and you had already gone into the discussion about how Mother Earth was actually giving birth as well, and you were trying to give these examples in a physical way so people could understand it. But I knew right away that this was really talking about an energetic thing, that at the base frequency, that it's birthing a new consciousness, it's birthing a new form of energy, a new way of looking at things. But the thing is, a lot of people maybe hear that and they go, oh, it's just going to be a bunch of ponies and rainbows. It's going to be amazing. We're all going to be enlightened. This is great. But unfortunately, we have to go through those levels of, getting rid of all that toxicity first, right? And so I've had both of those things happen to me.
Uh,
Yeah.
and the physical stuff is coming, but
Yeah.
we've got to first work through all this energetic framework, all
Mm.
these energetic templates first. And if we look at the human organism as a single organism, humanity, just to look at it as a single person, um, as a person, humanity has chosen to, like we say, would choose to incarnate into a reality. Before we go in there, we go, oh, right, now that's going to be challenging. I'm going to be, going to that sort of darkness. I'm going to be challenged by those entities from those realms of darkness. And then I'm going to go through the process of learning that lesson. And then these beings of light are going to come along and help with the process. And then I'm going to find my way. And it's going to be an incredible experience. I'm going to be stuck in that reality maybe for a few eras, and could be even up to an epoch and maybe a whole eon of time, really quite a long time. But I'm going to give it a go because this is what my soul needs. So I'm being attracted to go in there, and I'm going to do that. you know. So if we look at humanity as a single being, a person, then that's what humanity's chosen, to go into a reality, to allow energies to come and infest it, to allow these dark energies to come, because overall it's about challenging humanity. The human person, as a human organism, as an individual being, wanted to be challenged, right? And it said, well, I'm going to go into this reality. We've got a planetary being who's going to help facilitate that for us. And we're together, the planet and us, as a human being, as a whole human organism, we're going to allow this energy to come and challenge us in so many different ways. And see, the responsibility now is we chose that, we co-created that, and now it's up to us to work through that. And so because humanity has chosen to allow synthetic dark and light energies to come and totally infest it, we now have to actually work through it. So the process of part of this process of cleansing ourselves, of ridding ourselves of all this dross and all this karmic energy, because karma is just about balance. It's all karma is, really. It's balance. Karma is another word for balance. So when you've got a karmic sort of obligation, it's because something's out of balance and you've got to reattain balance. Whether it's a positive or negative karmic thing, you know, it's still karma. And we need to work through that as a humanity. So we have got these synthetic dark energies which are really playing the game tough at the moment. And then once we together collectively as a single organism, humanity has to work through that negative energy, negative synthetic energy. Then we have the synthetic positive white love and light energy that we're currently working through as well. So we need to work through both charges of energy, and that is what's happening on a global scale. So the way through this is we first need to work through these energies personally. Hence my discussion of chakras, kundalini, and all these other programs that are out there that are of the synthetic universe and the synthetic light realms, that we need to actually work through as individuals first. Then we can start having an effect on the planet on a global scale and be more effective, because you can't be effective unless you sort yourself out first. It's a real simple analogy to use is if you're in a plane and, you know, those oxygen masks drop down, they say first put yours on, then help your child. You know, you can't, unless you're in the capacity, unless you have the capacity, the ability, and the knowledge and the wisdom to actually be functional, be effective in this world, you're not going to do a good job of it. You're going to come a gutser, you know, because you're only going there half-hearted. You're not prepared properly, even as a warrior, right? As a warrior, you're going to go into battle. You've got to make sure that you are prepared, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. You know, because when a warrior goes into battle, and I'm talking about you because of your, you know, in reference, I know you understand this because of your martial arts background. When a warrior goes into battle, if you're going to go into battle and you haven't got all your areas in good check, then you are walking into trouble, because your opposition is going to test each one of those areas and then is going to see that you're weak in one and go for that area. And we need to be, and our armor, our true armor, if you want to put it this way, because it's really no longer a battle. It's like even the idea of fighting is over. This is now simply being. Okay, so all we need to do is be our authentic self from our true heart soul lessons from within. Just be our true natural organic light. I've already had the incredible experience of dealing with the serpent of the kundalini energy, right? I had to confront that being. That's what we have to do in order to move beyond it. Okay, we've got to deal with that energy personally, because we have it personally in our tree of life, in our spinal column. The spinal column is the physical manifestation of our personal tree of life. and why people want that serpent infesting their tree of life. Well, I know why, but at the moment people think it's a wonderful thing and they don't realise exactly what they're getting themselves into. But anyway, people are learning that. And these are the sorts of things that we need to do. We need to address these issues internally, personally, and get ourselves in a place where we are emanating our true, authentic heart, soul essence, and nothing can touch us then. That is our true, if you want to use the word, safety, protection, and the relationship we have from that place within there with Mother Earth, with Father Son, with the galaxy, and with the universal creator. When you are in that place, that is where you are untouchable. It is just an amazing place to be. And I'm not there 100% of the time, no way. But I'm there some of the time. And when I'm there, wow, does it feel amazing. You're just in this space and you express yourself in a way that is just completely incredible. I'm seeing it happen in friends around me at the moment. We're really noticing it, and we're talking to each other about this. I spoke like this and it was incredible and I was in such an empowered state, and I'm saying, that's the greater, that's the big you coming through,
Yeah.
That's the greater you, and it's an amazing place to be, because in that moment you were totally in complete empowerment. You had all the wisdom, you had all the knowledge, you knew exactly what to say, you knew exactly what to do, and you were so effective in that moment. And so we've got friends around us that are experiencing that more regularly now. So we're bringing more of ourselves into this reality, and that's the really another crucial concept to understand is a lot of these ideologies that are doing the rounds on the planet are all about getting out of here, are all about leaving, ascending to some other dimension away from Earth. My understanding with my relationship with Mother Earth and Father Son and all that, this is all about bringing more of me in. The more I bring in, the more I'm empowering myself, the more I change, the more the world around me changes. Therefore, the more the world changes, the more Mother Earth changes. It's a symbiotic relationship. If we don't go through that process, as Mother Earth changes and we hold back on changing ourselves, it's going to get increasingly painful and uncomfortable for us in this reality.
Yeah, no, I it's so interesting you're bringing all this stuff up, especially when you're making that analogy with the whole concept of, what a warrior needs to do to prepare themselves for battle. I've always understood that tradition in the sense that, we're not talking about a physical conflict here. We're talking about what you're talking about. We're talking about going within and, really understanding that the physical element of all of this stuff is just a metaphor for the higher dimensional element of this stuff. And you know what? When I read a lot of the founding, the masters and whatnot that had come throughout history that wrote this down, whether it was from some of the Native American Indians or some of the samurai or whatever that wrote some of these concepts down, that's exactly what they were talking about, because they, even them in their time, had a vision of that. They understood that it's the whole point is to stop violence, but you need to, the only way that we can stop these problems is to go within and solve them within first. It's like you said, you got to put that oxygen mask on before you go out and help other people, right? And I've been feeling right now, even though I've been going through a lot of chaotic times in my life, I have been feeling that feeling of being empowered to a degree that I'd never been. It's almost as if that challenge was what brought me to that level of warriorship that I had never seen before. Training all the physical aspects of martial arts I've always trained, I'd never reached the point that I've gotten to now, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And it was the challenges, it was the opposition that I faced in trying to make these choices in my life from friends and family. We all go through this. You've been through this, I'm sure. So it was all of those things that brought me to that level. So I just think it's pretty synchronistic that you brought that up, because I was that definitely resonates with me, and I see it also in people that I'm talking to. So everybody that's out there that might think this is just all a bunch of doom and gloom, I mean, yeah, things might look gloomy in the physical realm, but we need to look at it as that's a reflection of this inner this inner struggle that we haven't resolved yet. And it's maybe because we were never taught properly, and we were constantly given these red herrings along the way. We've been given religion, and even mainstream science has turned into another religion, and the New Age movement had some great suggestions, but then it turned into another religion, and it pulled people out of their own empowerment. And I like the way that you talk about getting completely past the physical body as being, because the body is our interface with this reality. But at the same time, the system wants us to identify with the very material elements of ourselves. That's the way I see it. And all you got to do is just go out there.
That's the middle ground, you see.
Yeah.
The physical body, when you look at it from the point of view of an interface, what is an interface? It's the middle ground where two paradigms come together and communicate to each other.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So the only access they have to our soul and our spirit, right? Because they don't have access to our soul, really our spirit, right? The only access they have to our spiritual nature is through the five senses of the body. Okay, so they want access to our spirit. They want to own us spiritually, and they do it through the five senses, and includes the mental paradigm as well. That's the big one. On the planet at the moment, it's psychological warfare. That's pretty much where we're at. We've gone beyond physical warfare now, even though they still try to play that game for those people who are still into it, where we've gone beyond physical warfare. Now we're in the realm of psychological warfare. And psychological warfare has been implemented on this planet for a good 6,000 years. But now it's just going to a whole new level. This is what it's really about. This is the battle for your mind. And because that, we really have to go beyond the mental arena. We really do.
Do you think they're doing that? Oh, sorry to interrupt, George. I just quickly to ask, do you think they're doing that because of the fact that they're seeing that more people are starting to get it, and they're starting to remember who they are, and they're starting to empower themselves? Yeah.
Absolutely. We're waking up. So they need to really clamp down on our minds. It's mental warfare. And we can't turn the television on anymore. Where we live, we don't get reception anyway, so we haven't watched TV for 3 years.
No, me neither.
I can honestly tell you, when we go and visit friends and family and they have the television on, we ask them to turn it off, because the subliminal energetic waves and the programming is so severe, it makes us feel very, very uncomfortable, and we honestly don't like it. It's like if you're a non-smoker and you walk into a room full of smoke. It's not a pleasant experience. And if people can realize that, if the most important thing at the moment, if I can say to people, is turn your televisions off.
Amen.
Get away from TV and radio. Don't have it on in the background. Just get away from it. It is poisoning you. It is drugging you. It is programming you. It's so powerful now. This is one of the most important things you can do. Get away from those TV shows. Just get away from it. I just can't tell you how strongly I can reiterate that.
I agree.
Do yourself the biggest favour ever. You look at a friend who's a heroin drug addict, turn your TV off and then see how addicted you really are. Yeah. Because you're going to want to turn it back on. Because you've been fed that energy for so long, it's hard to live without it. And once you break free from that paradigm, when you go back into a room and a television's on, whoa, do you notice it? It's just like being an alcoholic for many, many years, and then you don't drink for a long time, then you have a drink again. Yeah. It is really that noticeable. Yeah.
Well, I would second that too, because my wife and I, we haven't had a television in probably, 6 years. We have one, but I usually just use it to inform myself, and use it for those things. I mean, I think all of these technological means can be used in opposition. I mean, here we are, we're using the internet and Skype and everything to relay this message. And I think that's positive, is that we're using these things in a positive way. And I think as time goes by, we're going to have to continually be creative and continue to use every means at our disposal to continue to express this truth, because so many people are stuck and getting their information and getting all of their the download into their head from the media and we do know that you can get into the basics of it, that it's centrally controlled and all that, but really you're right, it is an energy. At the end of the day, there's a subliminal energy there. They've even mapped out, how it interferes with your brain patterns, and it messes all that up. So you're not even operating through that physical medium properly enough to receive higher signals, right? So they're completely pulling us more and more into the synthetic environment. And yeah, it's driving me insane as well.
Oh, it's just crazy what's going on. I mean, we still love to watch the odd movie. Don't get me wrong. You know,
Oh yeah.
there's still, there's some great movies out there to watch, but even a lot of the movies these days, the brainwashing in them is so powerful. It really is annoying. It's sad.
Yeah.
It makes us feel very uncomfortable. So even the amount of movies we can watch has diminished quite dramatically.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I think that, even you look at Disney now, I mean, it's always been very much about, there's always been propaganda and whatnot, but when you watch even the kids movies or any of these kids shows, they're talking about interdimensional, like, reptilian beings, and they're telling all this crazy creepy stuff to these poor 6-year-old kids that are watching this stuff. And then you add all the video games in there, and you just add this download 24/7, because everywhere you go you got 20 televisions in there, you've got bright neon flashing lights. It's just a circus. And not to say that individually those things would be necessarily wrong if they weren't just constantly being used to deviate our attention and to deviate our energetic connection to nature. Look at how divorced we are from nature. I mean, you got to go and drive miles just to find some trees now, it's just ridiculous. Like, at least that's from where I am,
Yeah, crikey. Wow.
Yeah.
No, I got one to Daddy. Got a few.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I had to get out. I can't do cities anymore. I just can't live in the city.
Oh, I'm on my way out. I've got to find something. I'm just kind of on the outskirts, but I want to go even farther. But George, what do you think about? I mean, let's get into your analysis. I mean, you brought up some very interesting points in some of the videos that I was watching, and I really wanted to get into that because we've had a lot of stuff happening. And if we look at it from the physical sense first, and then we can maybe continue to build out for people, because I don't want people to think that we're just focusing on these things. But I look at this. When we look around what's going on in the world, it's a really good template. It's a good way to sort of monitor what's going on. It's a good way to get a gauge. So if we think about the fact that we've had this new Jesuit Pope brought in to replace the old Pope controlled by, the same group, and we've got all these new, like we got the Queen Beatrice of the Netherlands stepping down, and then her bloodline, her lineage is stepping in. We've got some power changes possibly taking place very shortly here in Canada. We've got all this changing taking place in those public arenas. Do you think that this is a strategic move, or do you think that they're panicking because of all this awakening? Or, like, I get the feeling that this is a military strategy here. This is something that they're doing because they need to pick up their game or whatever.
Wow. Okay, where do I begin there?
Yeah, there was a lot. Sorry.
I'm going to begin from the beginning. Okay, you mentioned the Jesuits. Who are they? Who are the Jesuits? That's my question.
Yeah.
It is the order of Jesus, right? Okay, so who's Jesus? Where does this guy fit in? Where does this guy come in? A lot of people see Jesus as the Christ. Now, this is the real big stuff. Now we're getting into the heavy-hitting stuff, which just freaks people right out. Because their programming will kick straight in now, because all of a sudden I'm questioning the name Jesus. Okay? And apparently you're not allowed to do that, according to the Jesuit order. Okay, and who control all the mind control programs that come with it. So let me put it this way: who gave us the name Jesus? Who gave us that name?
Well, it was written down.
Caste.
Yeah.
Yeah, who gave us the Bible? It was a priestly caste.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just look at it from this point of view. Isn't that the same priestly caste that crucified the Christ? It's the same group.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, right? Get a load of this. Now all of a sudden you have people all around the world over at least 1,700 years worshipping a deific figure of the priestly caste who crucified the Christ. Do you know how much of a shock that is to people? They would see me as some sort of satanic agent, an agent of Satan, trying to totally get them away from Jesus, their Savior. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
So what I'm doing is actually being realistic about life. And what I'm doing is waking up out of the trance and looking at life in a very realistic, unbiased manner. Who gave us this book you call the Bible? Who gave you the name Jesus? And why has that been worshipped, prayed to, praised for so long? Why is so much energy being directed towards that being? Because the true Christ would never have anything to do with that kind of energy. It's not interested in feeding off people. Right? So obviously this being needs to be fed. It needs to consume the intentions of people. Now this is really, people aren't looking at it in this manner. The same group that crucified the Christ gave you the name, the deific figure, gave you the deific figure to worship, to pray to give your power over to. There's something's not right here. And we really got to be realistic about this, unbiased about it, and look at it in a very, very mature way. Because this whoever's listening to this and is into the Jesus thing, it's like, just remember these two statements. Even the elite will be deceived. Just remember that. It even says it in that book, even the elite will be deceived. Well, think about that for a moment. How far does that deception go? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. How far does the level of deception go in this whole formula? I'm not talking about saying that the Christ is evil. I'm actually a person who truly feels that a being known as the Christ walked the earth 2,000 years ago. I remember being there at that time and being a part of that whole thing and seeing it happen. I remember that. So I had an incarnation at the time when all this was going on. I remember that. So, and there's other people that remember that too. In fact, everybody who was incarnate back then is incarnate now. Anyone who was a part of that whole era and that whole, set of circumstances that took place back then, and not just in the Middle East, but Christ toured all around the world. The Australian Aborigines called him the rainbow serpent when he came to Australia. The American Indians called him Quetzalcoatl. And it's the feathered serpent has to do with the great serpent, it's not to do with the serpent in the Bible. That's a different energy altogether. The great serpent is an expression of the universal creator, which is the feathered serpent is the bird tribes and the serpent tribes. It represents love and knowledge. It's the two energetic streams. These are metaphors for expressions of universal consciousness. This is a real teaching, and people, it's like, come on, guys, wake up. It's like we take things in too much of a literal sense. It's just like when you've got the radical Muslims who think that when Muhammad said spread Islam via the sword, he meant to go around killing people. Well, it couldn't be further from the truth, because the sword has always been a symbol of true knowledge and wisdom. And the sword cuts through lies. And the sword will hurt. If someone is living a lie and someone speaks the truth, it's going to hurt those who live in the lie. Because that sword is truth, and it just cuts through all the lies and the illusion. So, again, if people are going to take the understanding of who and what the great serpent is, when it's love and knowledge and the two energies combined together, integrated into one expression, into a balanced state of being, that's what it is. And it's actually a part of the universal creator. But this other serpent energy is something different. This Kundalini thing and this serpent in the tree, this is where even the serpent comes into it. It's really important for people to understand these different concepts and these different levels of expression in the universe, because we're dealing with these energies. We've got to start empowering ourselves with knowledge again, true knowledge. And that's what the apocalypse is. Apocalypse here means from the good spirit. The apocalypse means the revealing of the truth. The apocalypse is a fantastic thing. When they program people into thinking, apocalyptic times, and it's something bad. I'll tell you who it's bad for. The apocalypse is bad for anyone who's living a lie. And the apocalypse is really bad for the people who want to control the planet and want to control humanity. The last thing they want is an apocalypse, because that's the awakening of people into the real truth of life. So we got to understand that humanity has been fed lies, and how far does it go? So for me, I don't aspire to a Christ by the name of Jesus. I don't aspire to a Christ being handed to, a version of Christ being handed to the masses by the priestly caste. I don't aspire to that. I aspire to my heart, soul, essence, and the Christ consciousness that I connect to within my heart, soul, essence. That is the energy, and for me, it's no different to the true Buddha, to the true Krishna, to the true essence of all these different cultures that have the connection to the same consciousness. But each one over time has been turned into a religion, and different names are being placed upon them. It's like the true identities of these Christs have been hijacked. The true identity of Buddha has been hijacked. You know, you got the original Buddha, who was a happy-go-lucky guy with the stick and the bag and going for a bit of a walk and just walking away from all the materialism that he was, because he was come from a wealthy family. So he leaves it all behind to seek his true, spiritual path. And then all of a sudden, what emerges from all that is some Buddha with a third eye and a pineal cone thing on his head, and all of a sudden you've got this religious Buddha, which is not the true Buddha, not the original Buddha. Because the original Buddha was all about simplicity and love in the heart and joy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that is a religious dogma. And the same thing, you've got the original Christ, which is all about the simplicity of the heart and the heart, soul, essence. And then you have the religious Christ that everyone's worshipping, and they call it Jesus. You have the original Horus in ancient Egypt, and then you have the religious Horus of ancient Egypt, because the eye of Horus is the religious Horus. It's not the original form. I don't even know what the original name was. So again, we have to be careful what we choose to believe in, what we choose to immerse ourselves in, what programs, what teachings, what dogma people choose to immerse themselves in. For me, the idea of Jesus as being the Christ, I don't resonate with that. I don't at all. For me, I'll go as far as saying that's the false Christ. Because it is, even the elite will be deceived. And I think that this is one of the grandest deceptions ever played on humanity. Mind you, it only affects a quarter of the world's population. Okay? Yeah. Don't forget, Christians seem to think that the whole world's Christianized, but it's not. Just like Muslims think the whole world is under Islam. It's just football teams, right? Your football team's better than everybody else's football team.
Yeah.
So we've got to get beyond all that ideology, all that way of thinking, whether you're a Buddhist, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're Judaic. I mean, all of that energy, all of those ideas and concepts that your God is better than everybody else's God and your God is a true and righteous one. Come on. That's just saying that your football team is better than everybody else's football team. You're just barracking for your own footy side. And you got to realise that there really is only one heart, soul, essence and one consciousness of this universe, and then we go into even beyond that, into our infinite nature. So if we're going to be unified in life, and we get beyond wars, and we get beyond all these differences, all these programs of separation, ideas of separation, like people thinking there is sacred places on the earth, the Holy Land they call it. Well, the whole planet is sacred. You go to sacred sites. I just spent the last few time, going through this around the equinox and the solstice, going to what was called sacred sites. And what we experienced at the equinox at one of these places was the dispersion of those energies gone. Now gone. There is not one place on this planet that's more holy than any other place. There is not one bloodline on this planet that is holier than everybody else. There isn't. And that's why you got the idea of royal bloodlines, and the line of David and all that stupid ideology, because it's just absolutely idiotic. And the reason it's there is because the aristocrats want to have some sort of power over the rest of the masses. They're the ones that created that idea and propagate it and create the romantic notions around the idea of one must search for the Holy Grail and the holy bloodlines and all that sort of business. That is a load of crap. That is a romantic notion which was created by the aristocrats, because then that gives them a right to put laws into place which they have now the divine right to rule, because God has put them in places of authority above us.
Yeah. And they've always hidden behind that. And I always try to tell people this, like, when you look around at all of these different systems, whether it be the religions of the world, whether it be the political spectrum, whether it be the education system or the hierarchy that we see in mainstream science and all of that, everything's been turned into divide and rule, which is the old Roman way of doing it. They're just doing it again. It's been turned into taking you away from your own ability to be your own savior, your own Christed being, if you will. The Christ was someone who was anointed, right? Anointed with what? Anointed with that consciousness that you're talking about. And it's been reflected throughout history from beings that maybe they had a higher intensity of that conscious energy.
Yeah, but hang on. When you say anointed, and we're talking about that higher intensity and that greater level of awareness, you can have someone before you that gets anointed by the synthetic universe, by the God of the synthetic universe, and will radiate this fantastic light. Will have access to incredible knowledge. Will come across as being really righteous and incredible. Like, people will just fall to their knees and start crying in front of one of these beings. But that person has been anointed by the synthetic light. We've got to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
We've got to look back at our history, not only, especially not the written history, feel back into your history as a being, the journey, the lifetimes you've had, feel back into the journey of humanity, look back at history and realize the games that have been played, the idea of the gods, that used to come to the earth and present all these magical powers and everything. There's beings out there that have incredible abilities relative to us. We were them. Right? We were them. We have been them. We've chosen to come here to be stripped of everything. We're the ones with the courage, not them. Then they come here and then they play gods to us. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
We remember who you are. We are you. All these gods that come here, all these gods that are being worshipped, we've come from there to come to the earth to have this incredible, courageous journey of what I call the road to compression, to rebalance all of our energies, all of our creations, to actually leave the arena of the gods. Right? We don't need to play these games anymore. I don't. There's some people obviously that do, well, they can continue to do that, but I don't need to play those games anymore. I'm on my way out. And those beings are going to do everything in their power to stop you from leaving. Because ironically, they feel a sense of abandonment and betrayal because we've left them behind, you see. We're on our way out, and they are so frightened of losing us.
Is it because, I guess, that we sustain them in that way? Like they, it's like, I guess it's an energetic thing. Again, it's an energetic, some people think that, maybe when these ancients came, or these ancient beings came here, that they were just after gold or resources physically on the planet. And I'm sure that's just a perk, but really at the end of the day, they're after the energetic domination and control of a higher form of consciousness, right?
We are the number one commodity in the cosmic arena.
Yeah.
We are, because we access more life force than any other race does. That's why we're human. We're godly beings.
So is this where, if we kind of bring it back to the Jesuits and sort of the, these different forces that are controlling the physical show here?
You have interdimensional godly beings who are the overlords of these establishments on Earth, and they are now currently in the process of it's a Jesuit order, that a branch of the Jesuit order that runs the Vatican. A branch of the Jesuit order. These guys know who I am. I've already dealt with them. And there is they are going to use the Vatican as a sacrificial lamb, because they need to fulfill the prophecy. If you look at the prophecy in the Bible, just look at it as a movie script.
Okay.
And because these beings are pulling the strings here on Earth, they are running the show for now. You know, of that level of this reality, they're being allowed to run it because it's serving a great purpose for people to, you know, work their ways through the drama and learn these wonderful lessons. So they're being allowed to run the show in the public arena, and they're still running the show in the public arena. And what they're going to do is fulfill biblical prophecy, because by fulfilling biblical prophecy, by controlling the events to fulfill biblical prophecy, it then reinforces the masses' belief into that religious ideology. Oh, the events happened, so it must be real.
So is this? Let's get into the disclosure stuff then. I mean, we just had all this, like the movie Sirius come out. We've had all of this push for them to get the governments of the world to disclose. Which, I mean, who really cares what they think? We already know they're lying to us about everything else. But we've got a push to bring this out. And if you watch, we're talking about movies. All the movies now, all the shows are all talking about ET, and either it's an invasion or it's like, you know, you got these TV shows like V, and they're actually remaking these shows. It's so important to them. Star Trek, they're redoing them all because it's so important that they get this out. And we're just immersed in this culture of, you can sense that there's a change afoot. The Vatican's talking left, right, and center about how we're going to go out. Well, there probably are ETs, and when we find them, we're going to go and bring them into the faith of Christianity and all this stuff. And so they're talking more boldly about it, whereas before, maybe a couple of years ago, they would have condemned the entire thing as being some kind of devil worship or whatnot. So maybe we can get into that. This disclosure thing, is that somehow the way that they're going to lead into some kind of a new religion or a new way of a new order in their way?
That's exactly what they're working towards. But the fascinating thing is that the Vatican versions, you see, the Jesuits are controlling the way the disclosure is being run on the planet at the moment. And the first wave of disclosure, this initial disclosure, will point towards the Vatican. That's wave number one of disclosure. The second one that will come is after we have this like forceful version. This is how I see it. It might not even happen this way. Let me just be real open and realistic about this. This is how I currently see things, and this may not happen this way, but it's how I see it today. Okay? That the first wave of disclosure is heading to the Vatican. And because if there's going to be disclosure, if anybody understands how much control the Vatican has at the moment over the planet, and has had for a long time, they've controlled the whole corporate infrastructure. They're the ones who created the global corporate infrastructure on the planet. They control the whole thing. And it's business, right? Religion is business.
Yeah.
And because they need to control our day-to-day activities. See, it's about having total dominance over the human race, over humanity. So not only does the God behind this religious organization, behind all religions, I call it the God of religions, want to control us spiritually, doesn't want to just own us spiritually, but the only way it can do that is by also controlling our day-to-day activities, because then we don't have time to think. We don't have time to contemplate. We've got to be immersed and enforced labour, okay? And just, you know, like a horse with the blinkers on, and head down, bum up, paying your mortgage, working your butt off, you know, and immersed in activities that are being sanctioned by the system, you know, and you're not allowed to engage in activities outside of those boundaries. And that's what the whole system, global system, is on the planet. It's really genius on one level. And so the disclosure has to be in alignment, or is going to be assimilated into the spiritual infrastructure of not just the Vatican, but this God of religions. And if you think of it too from the point of view of the three, what we call Abrahamic religions, you can imagine that, you know, if you get this disclosure happening and it brings about peace between these three religions, the momentum of the relief of the flow, like all that intention, that momentum creates a river of energy. And all that momentum going towards people wanting peace so much in the Middle East, because that's the program that's always been continually run, isn't it?
Mm.
It's like the Middle East is the problem, which is going to create World War III.
Mm.
So that is the main point of focus. And so all that momentum of energy, that flow that they're creating, it's incredibly powerful, right?
Yeah.
Is to create this one world order of governance. They're going to use that momentum because people are going to be screaming for it. And then we're going to have this like religious, militarized, like combination, extraterrestrial, this three-way sort of world order. And there's going to be a lot of people going to be very comfortable with it. It's really in your face stuff. New type of new world order. We've already got a new world order, but the next level of it.
Mm.
And the one that to me is not the main issue. That's not the one to be concerned about because it's really obvious. It's an in-your-face new world order. The one coming in behind it is the one I'm concerned about more so because that's where the first world order will have the program of the Antichrist, traditional program of the Antichrist in it. Okay, but the one that's coming in behind, because remember the biblical prophecies have to be played out like a movie script. So what's coming in behind is the core Jesuit order, which is in alignment with the Jesus character of the biblical Jesus character and other deific figures who will come in to actually kick the Antichrist out and save the day. And then it's going to be, as far as I'm concerned, that's the new world order to be concerned about because it's going to be all about love and light and everything's going to be beautiful and peaches and roses. For me, the new world order is a passive-aggressive system. And so when we look at these two waves of energy coming in, the first wave for me is the negative synthetic dark energy of the Vatican-run corporate infrastructure. And the one that's coming in behind for me is the synthetic white love and light energy. So those two energetic patterns are what we have to work through as a humanity. So we've got the first wave of energy to work through, then we've got the second wave of energy to work through. And the majority of the people are going to actually fall for, not the first one. Initially, they'll fall for the first one, but there'll be so much, people will just sense quickly that something's not right here. But the second one, that one's the more sophisticated version. That's where the real clever programs come into play, when it's all about love and light. And you can see that on the planet, everybody's already being prepared for that wave already. It's already out in the open. We've got all these wonderful ETs, all these channelings, angels, ascended masters. We've got all that sort of energy, and it's all love and light. It's all beautiful. Here you have these free energy devices, you know, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, well, hang on, where we're going is beyond technology, you know? And these other groups are all about welcoming us into the galactic community, the Galactic Federation, all that sort of business. And we've got all these so-called extraterrestrial councils here that are, you know, channeling to people who are in contact with people on Earth, and they are their ambassadors, earthly ambassadors, representatives for these extraterrestrial council groups, different groups. And the running theme is we are going to welcome humanity once it works through this other issue, which will be more the reptilian based religious dogma, ET, militarized New World Order. Okay, that's the problem, to get the reaction, because they want to present their solution of welcoming us into the galactic community, which is just a UN on a galactic level. That's all it is. It's no different. As above, so below. Right? That was my second statement. First one was, even the elite will be deceived. Number two statement is, as above, so below. So as we have this incredible governing corporate infrastructure here on Earth, well, it's the same thing on a galactic level that exists out there too. So all we're going to be going is going from a playground that's that big, eventually to a playground most people won't be able to see the boundaries. So they're going to think they're free. And that, to me, is how I see the whole game plan playing out at this stage. That's how I see it. I pretty much have always seen it like this. So that really hasn't changed. It's just a more detailed understanding of the process, I suppose. of the two different waves of energy that we need to work through. And because you see, I've worked through these energies myself personally. I've worked through the synthetic dark energies. I've worked through the synthetic light energy. I've moved beyond chakras, kundalini, ascended masters, angels, and pineals, and all that sort of business. I've moved beyond all of that now. Not interested in those programs. I understand they're all part of the cosmic arena and the cosmic matrix. I understand that, and so I can identify with the programs because I've identified with those programs within myself. So I can now see in the global arena how they're playing out. I can identify them on the internet. I can identify them when people are talking. I can identify those energetic patterns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that definitely.
Until you remove yourself out of the arena of chakras, of kundalini, and of pineal, if that three-way program of enlightenment, when you remove yourself from that, go beyond it, okay, then you get the clarity to see actually what's going on.
So is this a way of, or I guess with that three-way program, was that something that maybe had served its purpose in the past and then is just something that's being brought back now or being reintroduced now as, just like as you said, as just another way of keeping people on a pause situation? They're just keep them there, and then so that we can't continue to keep going up. Or do you think that it was sort of a manipulation right from the beginning? Does it have to do with some of the genetic tampering that was going on, or how do you see?
That's exactly when they came in, when the genetic tampering was taking place with humanity. That's when these light programs, synthetic light programs, were attached. And that's when we had the biological implant of what's called the pineal gland assimilated into the human body. You see, half the world's population does not drink fluoridated water, yet their pineal glands are calcifying. They're going to blame the calcification of the pineal gland to fluoride. Now, it may calcify it a bit, okay? I'll agree to that. But how do you explain the other half of the world's population having the same issue? And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, because I don't drink fluoridated water, but I've got it going on. And I'll tell you why I've got it going on. It's because my body's rejecting it. It's a foreign body. The pineal gland is not a natural part of our physiology. It's been implanted into us. Understand the level of technology we're talking about here. The universe has been around for a long time. There's races out there with very, very advanced technology. If they want to implant something to make it look like it's part of the physiology, they'll do it. It's not that hard when you understand the level of technology we're talking about. The software programs like the chakras are implanted onto people. They're like energetic implants rather than a physical implant. They serve a purpose. You talk to Quero Indians and other peoples, they do ceremony, and when the person is passing over, this is what used to happen in the old days, people would gather around an elderly person who knows that their time is coming, and people will start to gather because they'll call the families in. This is what we used to do in ancient times. And then the ceremony would take place, and then what someone would do is unlock the seals, right? The 7 seals, right? Undo the seals of the chakras so the spirit can easily leave the body and go where it wants to go. Whereas when the seals are in place and someone passes over, it's a little bit difficult because they channel someone into the chakra system, which then feeds them into a different paradigm in the universe, and depending on their belief system as well. So they serve a very, very important reason why they're there. It's because for people who want to engage in these programs, and they did for me, they served me wonderfully. I don't hate chakras, but I'll certainly, from a much bigger perspective on life, I'll certainly call them for what they are. And I loved my chakras. I loved the service they provided for me. The only way you can move beyond them is with love and gratitude. So I'm not imposing fear on people about chakras. It's no different to you live in a world of a financial system that seeks to enslave you. Should you be fearful of it? You embrace it, and then you can move beyond it. It's the same with chakras. All these are programs of challenge in the universe. That's what they are. The chakras are another program of challenge. They will seduce you and lure you into some sort of form of spiritual enlightenment, which is mind-based enlightenment, because it's the pineal. It's in the head, right? So it's mind enlightenment. It's a different kind of enlightenment, and with the false synthetic light. But when you go into your heart, soul, essence here, this is my third eye. It's right here, here, not there, here. This is my third eye. This is my eye of God, right here. This is where it's at, and I see life through that. And to get the serpent, in your tree of life, and to get that energy to go up your spine, to hit the pineal gland and get mind-based enlightenment, that's up to the individual if they wish to pursue that path. But I've been there. I've done that in life. Not this lifetime, but I've done that in previous lives. And I'm not interested in pursuing that path any longer, because I've ventured into those realms and those paradigms. I've seen what that God entity is about. And now it's time to go beyond all of that. I'm done with that. This journey, this part of my journey, I'm done with it.
So definitely. If we go back to the idea of how they might be using these different things to bring in, I mean, the two different waves you were talking about with the system they want to bring in, it makes a lot of sense, because clearly religion has been the most powerful distraction and control mechanism for all of time.
Those of us, David, in the, if you want to, for want of a bit of a term, the conspiratorial realm, or the realm of being more awakened and alert and realization as to what's going on in the world, people forget quickly that the majority of the world's population, the overwhelming majority of the world's population, is fully immersed in the program of religion in one form or another. Religion is the most powerful mind control program on this planet. 5.5 out of the 6 billion people, if you want to use numbers, it's really closer to 7 billion. But let's say 6 out of 7 billion people are mind controlled by religion, immersed in it completely. So if there's going to be a disclosure, what do you reckon? They're not going to let that program go to waste. I mean, they've been pushing these programs for thousands of years. Don't forget, these are interdimensional, extraterrestrial, and God mind-like entity beings who live for a very, very long time. They live for eons of time, millions, trillions of years old they are. They're not stupid, And we need to be more aware of what we've got going on here, of what we have contracted to come and challenge us. We wanted the best, we got the best. Now, these guys are not going to let 6,000 years of programming go to waste. So if a disclosure takes place, they're going to have to incorporate it into some form of religious ideology. They have to. It just can't go to waste. So the first wave will be more the hardline religious version. Then the second wave will be more, yes, there's a God, angels, ascended masters out there and all that. But here, we'll welcome you into our extraterrestrial community, and here's some fantastic technology. And that's the second wave.
There was something you were speaking about at the event that I went to see at, George, and you were talking about, I believe it was an interaction that you had with some of the Greys, and you were saying that they had actually been warning you about the path of technology, because they were a remnant. They had been in that situation, because when you look at these beings, I mean, there's talk about how some of these beings that are abducting people and that people witness, this sort of the typical gray alien, a lot of people think that they're just purely android beings, and I'm sure those exist. But you were actually talking about organic gray beings who were, they're not from here, they're clearly different, but at the same time, they'd pretty much been in a state of atrophy. And they had, because of the path of technology that they had taken. So I just wondered if you could share a bit about that.
Sure. You see, you could also look at it that they are us in the future. That they are a branch of humanity who chose the path of technology, who actually came back to this time, because they can time travel, to warn people. It's like a closed loop. Time is a loop. And they've come back to warn us about, the path that they chose. To warn people, to say, if you continue the path of technology and you end up giving your power over to technology, and technology does everything for you, and if you look around at life at the moment, that's exactly what everyone's doing. You know, really, you and I should be just communing, not even telepathically, but through a heart soul essence, right? We should be able to just communicate with one another in an organic sense, but we're using technology to do it. So, because we're not using that other part's atrophying. Do you know what I mean? But, at, you know, and sure, it's coming back. It's on its way back. But I'm just giving that as an example.
Yeah.
We are very soon going to go even beyond telepathy, and we're going to communicate from our heart soul essence to heart soul essence, and we're going to be able to bilocate, and we're going to be able to do really, really normal things again, rather than this weird way of the way we do things. And so, yeah, going on this path of technology, if it does everything for you, then things atrophy because you're not using them. And you know, you can even look at our children, for example. They don't have the life skills that we had as kids, and we don't have the life skills that our parents had as children, as people, and so on and so forth. And humanity's been steered down a particular path of total disempowerment in so many ways, even life skills. You know, how many of us grow our own veggies? How many of us understand the cycles and the seasons and can build a house, for example, out of just cutting down a few trees? How many people can do that? They can't. They've got to call in the plumber. You know, tap leaks. They can't even change a washer on the tap. For goodness sake. You know, they've got to call the plumber in to do that. It's the life skills are just being lost, and we're being assimilated into artificial intelligence. And that's what we were talking about before, this cloud storage and that's AI owning everything you got. You know?
Yeah.
That's AI is just sucking you up. It's just eating you. It's just assimilating you into its domain, which is one of the programs. The AI program is one of the dominant programs on the planet. You know, it's really powerful, and we've got to realise what's happening to us. We can't purchase food without AI giving us permission to do so. You can't pull money out of the bank until the artificial intelligence tells the bank teller, gives the bank teller permission, you know, for you to access your money.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a medium of between us, like, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now all of a sudden, you know, artificial intelligence is the governing body between us and other people.
And that's what they want, because if they can get us assimilated into this Borg type situation, then they've got the ultimate control, because we're not accessing our humanity anymore.
No, exactly right. So that's one program, right? In the book, in our universal journey that I wrote about how you've got the God of the synthetic universe, which is the God of religions. That's the guy that's all that's the entity that's claiming to be the creator and ruler of all things and all levels of all that is and all that exists, which there's no such thing, because life is infinite, so there's no one anything. And there's also a version of artificial intelligence which is teamed up. They've teamed up together. Think of it like two mafia groups getting together for a similar agenda. They've got a common cause, put it this way, and they've teamed up. So, and that doesn't get spoken about, how this AI, this malevolent AI, has teamed up with this God entity. That is such a huge partnership, because that is the partnership that's being implemented onto humanity.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you can see, it truly is frightening when I have looked at the type of technology that they've already got out there and that they're already talking about. I mean, Google is already talking about like a brain implant where you're just you can Google it in your brain. Just Google your brain. So that means you're not thinking anymore. You just, hold on a sec. I'll just Google that. Like, we're getting so much closer to it. It's so obvious. All the movies now, 3D IMAX experience. And yeah, it can be quite the entertaining experience, but when you really sit there and think about it, they're immersing you in a complete illusion. Behind that screen is a bunch of wires and speakers and, you know, all of this. So when you take that metaphor into everything else that they're setting up, I mean, what you're saying is absolutely true, that's the way they're going. So, I mean, I guess the whole point is we got to go past that then.
And I just want to add to that is people are debating about, you know, a new financial system. Well, we've already got an electronic bit system. When your funds in your bank account, it's not a pile of money sitting there. It's digital ones and zeros, electronic signals in a computer. So we've already got artificial intelligence run financial system. We already have that in place.
Mm.
PayPal is a perfect example of a global financial system. We already are there. It's going to be introduced. We already are there. It's already in place. A financial digital bit system is already in place. We're already using it. Someone in the financial world told me recently that 95% of all financial transactions on the planet now are electronic.
Wow. And that's only been in how long? Like only a short few years, right?
95% of all financial transactions on the planet. How do you pay your bills?
Yeah, online.
Do you walk to the gas company and give them cash? No.
No.
I pay it on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you look at all our financial transactions, you go and buy something, someone will use a card. It's just amazing how we've been assimilated already and we didn't even realize it.
I guess they've done it slow. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to say, I guess they've done it just slow enough that, and we were watching all the bright lights and we just didn't notice, I guess.
Yeah. Because with the movies and sport and everything, they're going, look over here.
Yeah.
So everyone's looking over there, but they're over here doing this, that, and that, and that, and that.
Yeah. Yeah. And literally making money out of thin air. Just.
Yeah. But it's all going to come to an end because, Big Mama's not going to let that happen. It's not part of the intention of the human organism to allow itself to be completely wiped out like that. Some of humanity, it's their path. Some people are not ready. They haven't finished their journey in the synthetic realms yet. And we need to come to terms with that. This is now unconditional love territory, and we need to honour that people they're not ready yet. They haven't completed their journey. We didn't all enter the synthetic realms at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you look at a high school, for example, or a university. Not everyone's graduating at the same time. Some people in first year, some people in second year, right? They just haven't. You go on a big walk with people. You don't all walk across the path all at the same time. There's some that walk ahead of others. Some walk faster. Some, explore quicker. Some learn quicker. It's just a natural way of life. So it's not about judgment. It's about being realistic and saying, okay, there's going to be so many people that will go with certain extraterrestrial groups. They already have, right? Amazing amount of people already have left with ET groups already, especially in the world of shadow government areas. In the world of shadow government, you'd be surprised how many people are already fully engaged with extraterrestrials, gone to their worlds, about 1 million on Mars already. It's just amazing. And this isn't conspiracy theory. This is what's going on. And we've got a breakaway civilization that's so far advanced of what's going on in our public arena. It's just amazing, the technologies that they have. And it's I've been saying for a long time, even members of the ruling elite and some of their friends go to the moon for holidays. And then I heard an interview recently of a guy who worked with NASA from the very beginning when NASA was created. He was there from the start. A very elderly gentleman, a lot of pain. He's on his way out. And he said that he met with a movie film star, and because this guy was really it was with Jackie Gleason actually, and that Jackie Gleason told him personally that he went to the moon for his honeymoon with his wife. And these are the sorts of things that are going on behind the scenes that, because everybody's immersed in the Matrix arena, that's where their vision is at, like horses with the blinkers on, right? Because that's where everybody's attention is at. They're not realizing all the stuff going on in the background. They just don't. And because of the illusionary veil and screening that this mind matrix has, it's quite difficult to see beyond it.
Yeah.
Because we can see things and we don't even register them, and we just get on with our everyday life like they never happened. It's happened to me, and all of a sudden, if we just kind of wake up out of the trance a bit and be a bit more vigilant, a bit more alert, and a bit more aware of what's going on around us, then you realize that there's so much more. The universe is talking to us, and it's the subtleties. I've
Mm.
been writing about that the last few days, actually.
Mm.
We've forgotten about the subtleties because the Matrix is all about the buzz factor.
Mm.
It's
And
all about
fast paced.
stimulation,
Yeah.
sensory stimulation, and fast paced mental, processing. So when you're in that space, you're completely out of the zone of the subtleties. And the way the organic life works is mostly it's subtleties. Mother Earth will send something through every now and then, earthquake here, storm there, and just try and remind people exactly who they're incarnate upon. Now, hang on a minute, don't forget about me.
Yeah.
You're all torturing me here. How about me? So there's that goes on every now and then, but the majority of organic life is the subtleties of life. And when we learn to go back into that place of learning how to read the subtleties, wow, it's amazing what is just all this information and opportunities that are flying past us and we don't even realize it.
Truer words couldn't have been said, George, because I, again, can only reflect on my own personal experience where I felt incredibly drawn to there was just very particular experiences that I had where I was incredibly drawn to nature and just had this emotional type of reaction to this day I'm out and I go into the woods or I go on a nature trail or I go for a jog or whatever, and I just feel this connection that for a period of my life was lost completely because I was so drawn into this synthetic reality and just the rat race, and I got to be successful and I got to get that job and all that. And only in the last couple of years have I really started to get back in touch and connect again. And it's now to a point where when I'm speaking with people and I'm trying to share that with them, or just pointing it out, like, just look how beautiful that is over there, whatever it is. And just to see that glazed look in their eye, like, oh, what? It's just a bunch of trees. What are you talking about? I'm on my iPhone right now. I'm texting somebody. Like, so you start to realize that, and I'm not trying to judge these people. I actually feel very empathetic towards them because I feel like they're missing out. And I myself was one of them. And at that point, and I look now and I can just see that contrast where there's people that I speak with where, people like you and me, we can sit here and talk about these things because we both have experienced them to one degree or another and we understand. But to people that have been raised completely in this environment of this synthetic nature, they have no reference point, and it's like you're talking to a child in a way. And I'm not trying to demean anybody here, but like you said, there's different grades, right? Different grades, So the fact that I've been able to see how just experiencing that connection alone has changed me, and then started opening up all kinds of thinking patterns and all kinds of synchronicity has suddenly come into my life without me physically asking for it. It's just happening on a daily basis now. It's getting to a point where, talk about transition, talk about anything you want to talk about with this cycle that we're in. But I can say that I'm experiencing it on that deep spiritual level. And, and I just wanted to also thank you for inspiring me on so many levels, because that trip that I took to Victoria, BC had changed my life forever. It was one of those huge moments that unlocked a lot, and it was a combination of, you saw how beautiful it is there. The nature that's there is just incredible.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, yeah. It's just gorgeous. And I'm going around and I'm having all these incredible brain explosions just looking at how amazing it is. And then I come to your event and I was very excited. I came alone and I just wanted to sit there and just hear your story and go through everything. And it was so many things that you said resonated and turned me on right at that time. The timing was perfect. And then I found out that my wife was pregnant, and my life changed ever since, because now I have this beautiful being in my life. And so the synchronicity like that has just been continuous ever since those times. And so to anybody that's listening, I'm only sharing my experience because I also want to encourage people that even though we've been talking about some dark stuff, and we do have to be aware of those things, it's not a time to be pessimistic. It's a time, in my opinion, to look at it in the face and, like you said, let's move on. Let's move on to the next level.
It's gonna look like all is lost. It's gonna look pretty grim. Yeah. I'm not gonna, pretend. I'm a realist, and we've got to go through this. It's like when somebody's going to have a relationship breakup, for example, it's going to be grim for a while.
Yeah.
That's part of the process, is it not?
Mm.
So, as humanity is ending its relationship with a synthetic universe, it's going to be grim for a while. There's going to be some tough times ahead. And at one stage, it's going to look like all is lost to this really disgusting world order. But we're going to come through. You know, it's don't give your power over to it. Don't give up. When you are connected to your heart, soul, essence, you see the journey. And Cynthia said this really, really fantastically. She said, see the process for what it is. See the process and see the process through. And that's fantastic wisdom. So when we can realize the process at hand, that we've chosen to immerse ourselves in the synthetic universe, and that doesn't mean Mother Earth and Father, Son and that. It's synthetic universe means a way of life. It's an energy that's imposing itself over humanity and Earth and this place, okay? But the organic way of life is still in the heart of Mother Earth. It's still in the heart of Father, Son and the galaxy and the universe. You have your organic nature within you. Then we have this synthetic energy that's infiltrated our minds and taken control of our minds. It's moved in like a virus, and we got to realize that we allowed this to happen, and we need to now take responsibility for that and move through that, work through it. And humanity needs to work through this. If we could see the process that humanity is going through, that we are now in the process of releasing or extracting ourselves from this synthetic universe, is another way of putting it. Another way of putting it is we are working through the challenges of the synthetic universe that it provides for us, because it wants to lure us and entrap us and keep us in its paradigms. And we have been in the process of leaving them. So these are all different ways of looking at it and approaching it. So when we can see the process that there's synthetic negative charge that needs to be worked through, there's a synthetic white positive white love and light charge that needs to be worked through, and we can see that this is a process, then we have the ability to see the process through.
So it's really about, when we're kind of going back to that warrior metaphor, where we are being called to face this challenge at this time. But
absolutely.
And the only reason we're here, this is what I've been drawing from what I've been able to learn, is that the only reason we're in this situation is because it was something in us that we ignored. It's that garden we didn't tend that is now we're being called to cleanse that. It's like you find out you have an illness, even if it's just a common cold. There's something in your body. You don't have enough nutrients in your body. You're not. Your body. The immune system is being suppressed. You need to get rid of those things that are suppressing the immune system, and then the immune system will take care of itself. The body will cleanse itself. I mean, that's only the physical body. Imagine untapped infinite potential of what we really are, and you're talking about something that no matter what they try to throw, they don't have a hope in hell at the end of the day. But
because we end up emanating and being an energy that they don't have access to.
Is it because they envy us then? Sorry, yeah.
Because their programs only function with a certain frequency within the universe. When we emanate our heart, soul, essence, we are an energy that they don't have access to, so their programs have no effect on us. Neither does their technology. It'll get to the point where no technology is going to have any impact on us whatsoever, because we're moving beyond technology. That's what I'm doing now with fluoros and things like that. If I've got to go to an airport or shopping centre or whatever, I just say, right, I embrace the technology. I love it. It has its place in this world. It's serving a purpose. I love you. Okay? But I'm going to set my boundaries with you. I am now going to put myself into a frequency where your emanation and your expression of your existence has no effect. So what you do is you put yourself out of phase of the negative attributes of that technology.
So you're no longer under any kind of external influence now. So you're really, people always feel like they're a victim, eh? They feel
Yeah,
like they
yeah,
have no
yeah. No, we're
choice.
not victims.
Yeah.
No, it's not original sin.
Hmm.
It's original intent.
Hmm.
Own it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Own it. We intended this. You designed this life. We created, we co-created. This is our creation. And we contracted those guys. And they're trying to convince you otherwise.
Hmm.
But we're the ones in control of this whole situation. So all we got to do is start owning it again.
Hmm.
Then automatically you empower yourself and they are somebody you contracted. Thank you for your service. But now we're done. Agreements fulfilled. Contracts have been honoured. See you later. You know what I mean? It gets to that point, and you are now controlling your movement through the matrix, through this world. You then are, it's like you look at the matrix and all of a sudden you are glowing this light in the matrix and they're looking at you and you are a pain in the matrix for them. You become painful for them. And when you first start awakening, they attack you and they attack you and they attack you. Like, man, do you get attention? When you really take the real red pill, I mean, beyond chakras, kundalini, all that. When you take the real red pill, not the imaginary red pill, but the real red pill, and then you just whoa, and you see it for what it is, and boy, do they give you a hard time for a while. And then you just when you make it through that battle, all of a sudden you break through, and you are emanating an energy which is beyond their reach, and it is a fantastic place to be because I've been in that place on a number of occasions in my life, and I'm being in that place more often than not, and it feels fantastic because fewer beings have access to you. There's less interference. I've had some doozies lately though. They don't give up. You've got to give them credit where it's due.
Yeah.
They're pretty, resilient when it comes to their determination, but mine is more powerful because I'm one of the creators of this reality. So are you. So is everybody who's listening. And I know it. This is our planet. And we contracted you, and now it's time to go. See you later. Simple as that.
Did you feel up for sharing any particular experiences that you've had? Do you still have any kind of experiences where you're dealing with, directly, whether it's physically or interdimensionally, otherwise, with some of these beings?
Yeah, they're still getting a fair few.
You don't have to
I
say
won't go
anything. You
into
don't.
detail.
Yeah.
Recently for me was I had to really process a lot of trauma from my abductions that came up. That was really painful, like really painful, and I had to relive the trauma and actually thank them for what they did to me, and that was really hard. That was really, really tough, but I did it. So, it's interesting because everything I'm writing about, I'm actually living. Because I've got the 5 principles of closure of universal law in the course, and we, and they are acknowledgement. The second one's gratitude. Reconciliation is the third one. Embracing is the fourth one, and releasing is the fifth one. And when we go through that process with any situation, then we truly are released from it. It's done, and we move on. And that is the only way to move on from anything. That's part of universal law. If you just try and cut the cord, if someone tries to, for example, people hear me talking about chakras and they get all scared and they try to just rip them out, bad news. That doesn't work. And they'll really create trouble in their life if they try to do that. The only way to do it is to be truly grateful and to embrace the chakras with love and gratitude for their service, because we're ending a relationship. Everything that anyone or any being experiences in this universe is a co-created experience. That not a single thing in this universe happens without it being a co-created experience, without there being an agreement with another being providing the service for you in whatever way, shape or form that is. Nothing. So therefore we play a responsible role in every experience that we have, and so does whoever else is involved. It's all about agreements. That's huge knowing, and that is when we realize that, then we realize that we're responsible for everything we experience. That's ownership. That's totally removes victimhood.
Mm. And it's empowering on one hand, but extremely difficult on the other hand. Like
Well,
it's the
then,
trials.
if someone, forgive those who trespass against you. Sorry to pull out a religious term,
Hmm.
but it's something I needed to do. It's appropriate.
Wow. And I mean, I can only speak from dealing with just certain people in my own life where you have, certain people that come in and they either use you or abuse you or try to, get something from you, and yet they'll hide behind that whole love and light facade. They'll bring that manipulation to the fore because they are themselves lacking in some way, and even if it's on a subconscious level, they're trying to feed off of your energy, and sometimes you don't even realize that you might have. For myself, I didn't even realize I had some of these people in my life, and it doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean I don't respect them. It just means that it's such a difficult thing to face that responsibility, even when you're just dealing with the people that you see every day, whether it's people at work, friends, family's the hardest one. Family's the hardest one because you have such a connection, and then when they don't approve of something you're doing, or they have to give their opinion, and you still have to stand in your opinion, and you still have to stand in your own power. It's very difficult to do that. So I can only imagine if you're going even beyond this and dealing with higher forms of life or energy, and I can't even imagine. I mean, I myself have never really had very many paranormal type experiences or any experience. I've only seen maybe like 2 UFOs in my life. There was a part of me for a long time that wanted a connection and to say, because I just wanted to know. I have such a deep curiosity, and I was like, I want to know. I want to have those experiences, but I can clearly see that my path at this time is to experience in this way, and it could be that I'm being protected in some way. I don't know, but do you have any insight into that, George? I mean, I've had questions from people about that. What is it about certain people that they get picked on by some of these beings, or they get these very friendly type of interactions, and then others it's like absolutely zero?
Yeah, this is where a lot of the narrow-mindedness and self-righteousness of spiritual people comes into play, because they'll go, "Oh, he's evil,"
Hmm.
because you've got some darkness around you, or you're actually in the process of dealing with some dark beings. I've got some dark beings around me, and um, they are really significant beings in the universe of dark realms, leaders of dark realms, creators of dark realms. And the reason I'm working with them is because I'm teaching them. They're teaching me, and I'm teaching them. And it's got nothing to do with being possessed or being evil as a being. And I've had some completely malevolent beings in my life, and I've got completely benevolent beings in my life with me at the moment as well. And we're teaching and we're learning from one another constantly. And it's everybody's got an entourage with them, both negative and positive, both dark and light. We all have that. But depending on how we structured our incarnation will depend on what we experience in the incarnation. So the parameters around your incarnational construct, will be different to mine, because it's what your soul needs for this life.
Hmm.
And that's where self-righteous spiritual attitudes come into play, because they'll quickly sense something around a person and go into immediate judgment. And they have no idea how much work a person is doing on an energetic level. No idea.
Hmm. It's like a twisted view. They don't understand that there's certain necessary interactions that need to take place, right? Or that, like you said, it was called in. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of contracts people have got going on. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to, it's just hard. People really need to get out of their narrow-minded, self-righteous spiritual attitudes. It really is spiritual self-righteousness. There's so much of it in the world. I come across it all the time. There's just so much of it. It's ridiculous. Um, and they're caught up in, especially people caught up in the New Age paradigm. Oh, unbelievable how they can be so self-righteous about things.
Yeah.
Just because they're out of a religious dogma. They're still worshipping the same God.
Yeah.
They're just accessing that building or that synthetic universe from a different doorway, which has got a different advertising campaign, which is appealing to them better.
Yeah.
But they're still going to the same place. They might end up in a different floor in the building, for example, to use an analogy. Might be a different party going on there and the atmosphere is different, but the owner of the building is still the same bloke or the same woman. It's the same it's the same entity. So get off your self-righteous horse and get a grip on reality. Until people take the real red pill and get free from all the cosmic matrix programs as well as the earthly matrix programs, because you don't hear people talking about the cosmic matrix. You'll hear everybody talking about the matrix here on Earth, and apparently once you break free from here, you're free. Crap. That's a lie. Because there's a cosmic matrix. And there's another ideology that all ETs are good. What a lie is that? Anyone who's propagating the idea that all extraterrestrials are benevolent, they are lost. They are brainwashed. It is a very, very dangerous ideology to be propagating. That is just so dangerous. They need to take a really good look at themselves. I feel really concerned for them. And they're good people that say this. You can see they're good people. They mean well, but they are completely brainwashed by whoever the extraterrestrial group is that's they're in contact with. That is just nonsense to say that all ETs are benevolent. Absolute nonsense. As above, so below. The cosmic paradigm is full of good and evil, because that's the paradigm. That's the cosmic arena of the universe. It's got all of these energies and attributes and expressions, and there's a lot of races that walk a very fine line in the middle as well. It's, we're in the process of leaving that whole arena, leaving those expressions of contrasting expressions of duality in those forms. People have to be very careful. I get looked upon as the bad guy because I'm calling it how it is. I'm not going to fluff things up. Just delivering it raw, straight up, and people don't like it. And I'm wielding the sword, I'm wielding the sword and people don't like it. And that's unfortunate for them. Doesn't bother me because I'm in the space of, being a real truth seeker. I'm a truth seeker. And, it gets to the point where you stop seeking and you start being the truth and start emanating it and start living your truth. And when you do that from the heart, then you start wielding that sword and it hurts. It hurts anyone who lives in a lie. And I can express myself in a really intense manner like I'm doing right now, and you and lots of friends, they're not going to get upset with me. There's no need for that because you're in a good place with yourself. It's people who are really living a lie and invested so much of themselves into those lies that they're living that get really upset.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell because it's an emotional reaction that you get back,
Oh, and yeah. You see some of the emails we get. We get death threats and stuff, and it's just ridiculous the way people carry on. And people need to take a really good look at themselves. Yeah. They're just scared. That's all they are. They're really, really frightened. They're frightened of their own heart, of their own true reality and their own true sense of being within themselves. They are so frightened of themselves. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's like,
I know because I was there, David.
Yeah.
That's how I know.
Well, and it's like you were saying earlier. We've been so programmed to live vicariously through these objectifications of whether it's some priest or some guru or some being or some religious ideology or some extraterrestrial force or whatever. We've been always living it vicariously through them, but also on a regular social level, we live vicariously through each other. And so if you say something one minute that someone goes, oh, that made me feel better about that inner chaos I was feeling a minute ago, and then you keep continuing in your honesty, and you might hit a nerve all of a sudden. Oh my God, you're a bad guy for saying that. So you can sense the reaction in people as to where they're at. It's just an immaturity. It's fear. Because at the end of the day, nobody should be afraid of you expressing things the way you see them and expressing your truth. In fact, the greatest respect should be given for that. People can take it on board or not, like you said. But at the end of the day, when they start reacting with that pointing fingers and accusing and going after all of that, well, they're really just, how many fingers they got pointing right back at themselves, right? At the end of the day.
Exactly. You see, people, because they're living a lie, they are so frightened that the admission of themselves living a lie, they don't want to. It's kind of like someone who's caught in a relationship and they know it's not the right relationship, and they're really frightened about. They can't bring themselves to break free, so they'll live in misery for decade after decade, year after year, because they haven't got the intestinal fortitude to change, to come up against the reactions that will come up against them when they do go for that change. And what we're discussing now is the relationship within oneself. So people who are listening to this, I want you to ask yourself about the relationship you're having with yourself. Are you living your true, authentic nature? Or are you living life through someone else's program, someone else's idea of life? Because you chose to incarnate on Mother Earth. You chose to be here on this planet. The relationship, the intimate relationship you're having with her is the foundation to your existence here. How much time and how much credence do you give that in a day? How often do you think about that? How much acknowledgement? How much emphasis? Where is the majority of your emphasis? Are you praying to some God? Are you meditating and praying to some ascended master and bringing in their light or something like that? You know, how do you go about processing your thoughts in a day? How often are you grateful for what Mother Earth is facilitating here for you? These are all the things we need to start considering more often. And when we get down to the core of it and the relationship we have with ourselves, how honest are we going to be with ourselves? Because if someone, for example, is really into Christianity and they love Jesus, right? Because that's the program. You must love Jesus. Loving Jesus is the program, right? So when I say that, what if Jesus is not the true Christ? And they're like, shock, horror, you know, he's from Satan, the devil, and all this bullshit, basically. Because I questioned the name of the Christ that people are worshipping, the version of Christ people are worshipping. Well, if people are, and some people get angry and want to retaliate with violence even. And so if someone was truly at peace with their belief, even if they were like truly at peace with themselves, within themselves, they wouldn't have that reaction, because they're all fear-based reactions.
Exactly.
So if somebody is reacting negatively to what I've said, emotionally and you know, in shock and horror and all this sort of business, then you really got to start questioning about how peaceful you are within yourself, with your understanding of life, with your understanding of your spiritual ideologies and concepts. That's what people need to start being truly honest with themselves. Because I did. You know, I'm christened a Greek Orthodox. I went to a Catholic boys' high school. I've had to go through this whole process. You know, and I've had to deal with a lot of beings, interdimensionally, extraterrestrially, and it's been a really tough road. And on one level, it's been magnificent in other times, but really tough on one level. And for me, it's I've had to question everything, and I continue to question, always. And I question those things I'm not at peace with, and I get answers because I have a internal determination to integrate myself with organic life. I'm internally determined to release myself from synthetic life and synthetic programs and illusions and deceptions and lies. I have a very, very, very serious drive for that. And that's why I have a bit of a hard edge to me at times when I express myself, because I'm driving the sword through this illusionary reality. Again, not Mother Earth. I'm talking about the synthetic life of mental constructs and synthetic cities and technologies and what have you. That's the illusion. So when we can take this into consideration, then ask yourself, do you have that same drive within yourself to be a truth seeker, a real truth seeker, not a pretend truth seeker? Go for the big questions, go for the hard questions. Question the name Jesus. Where'd it come from? Who gave it to you? Who gave you the Bible? Is there truth in the Bible? Absolutely. There's got to be. And there's some fantastic wisdom in it. No doubt. All scriptures, all religions. But who's behind it? Why were they created? Who's the priestly caste? Why do they see themselves superior to us? You know, these are all the hard questions. Ask them. Dig deep, and then start digging into your own psyche and go, how much of those programs have got an influence on me? Why is it that when I left my hardline religion, I went into the New Age and I was still into angels and archangel this and archangel that, and, you know, same names, just a different approach, right? So the structure, the infrastructure, the framework's all the same. I was just approaching it from a different place. And you'd be surprised how long it takes to actually remove yourself from all these programs. There's fragments of it that still hold on, you know? And for me, the ultimate one is the God program, is because there's a creator of the universe, and I call that God. To me, that's God, right? The creator of the universe is God. And then you've got the creator of the synthetic universe, which is a God entity, is my labeling system that I use. And, you know, and then beyond that, you ask the question, do you exist beyond the creator of this universe? And I'm lucky enough, you could say lucky enough, that I've experienced myself beyond that in this lifetime. So I get to talk about it. So there's a big responsibility with the experience that I had there. So again, are you infinite or are you finite? That's the checkmate question, basically. That is the checkmate question. Are you finite or are you infinite? Because if you're finite, you're in the God program. That's the God of the synthetic universe. If you feel that a God created you, that you are a fragment of that being that created you, right? So you're not your own being, but that being created you, then that means you had a beginning. That means you're not infinite. It means you can be eternal from that moment on, but you're not infinite. So if you're truly infinite, then there's no beginning and there's no end. You always have been and you always will be. So I've never been created. I've always existed. My infinite essence, my true essence, and spirit's not the right word. It's deeper than that. The true nature of my being is infinite. That's my true organic nature, beyond any God program, beyond any entity that claims to be the creator. Can you just stop and think about the egoic insanity of one being claiming to be the creator and ruler of all things, of all that is, and all that exists everywhere. And you can't even say creation because it's beyond that concept as well. One being, all of that. You know, that's just nonsense. Now, some people will call their idea of God is that infinite state of being that I talk about. Sure, if they want to use that label for God. But the concepts, the ideas, and the ideologies that are promoted from the God program, that's where I get concerned, because I've already experienced myself as being infinite. And if you truly know yourself to be infinite, then you'll see straight through the God program. That's the checkmate move right there. I'm not subservient to anyone or anything. I'm truly sovereign and autonomous in my nature. Now, living in harmony with life around you and being one with life in that sense, sure. But when you got to be careful these other ideas of oneness. There's the Oneness University and all these oneness movements. They're collective hive minds. That's what
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful of those too, because they want to strip you of your identity. Yeah, they want to take everything away from you. They want to own everything. So be very careful of those. So yeah, are you infinite or are you finite? There's a big question for everybody to ask themselves.
Wow, that's blows me away. I'm pretty speechless here, just because I always felt since I was young. I was raised in a very fundamentalist Christian background. It was actually to the point where I was homeschooled in a program that was designed specifically to raise you in a very strict Christian way of thinking. And
Sure.
right from day one, there's no explanation for it. Everybody else went along with it. Everybody else thought it was the way to go, but I absolutely was allergic to it right from day one, and I just knew somewhere deep inside, even though my mind attached to it at some point, just out of fear, because you're a little kid, you're told that this is the way things work, and there's no other way of looking at it. And if you look any other way, and you look anywhere else other than this particular perspective, then you're eternally damned and all of this nonsense, right? And when you're told that at a young age,
absolute nonsense.
yeah, when you're told that at a young age, it's quite terrifying. But funny enough, and I can only speak completely honestly from my perspective and my experience, I knew deep down that was horseshit. I knew it. I don't know how to explain it. I've always just felt like there was sort of a hand on my back throughout my life that just sort of, I just knew that was not where my head was at. That's not where I wanted my head to be at. And I finally found the courage one day to follow my intuition and go and look into these things and ask these questions. And I grew up doing a lot of comparative religious study and all of that. But at the end of the day, it really was an intuitive thing, as I remember. And when you were speaking about how truth needs to be the ultimate aim of everybody, good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. It's all about what's real. And you know it because you feel it. Like you said, you feel it. There's an energy resonance that takes place. And when you feel that negativity and that fear and that anxiety, and I grew up in a very, very deep space of fear and anxiety in my life. And I had to kind of swim through that. And once I got through it, you know what I did learn from it is that I learned that I now can gauge that. I can sense it right away. I can sense the fear in other people. I can sense the love in other people. I can sense somebody that's genuine. I can sense somebody that's got some kind of an agenda. And so bravo for saying that, and I'm supporting you with that, because that's what a warrior is. That's the essence of everything. I mean, I don't know, George, if you've ever trained martial arts physically or studied it, but you've just encapsulated the entire idea of what that path is and what people need to empower themselves to that degree to become, not to become, but to remember what they actually already are, as we've been talking. So thank you for that. And thank you for bringing your honesty and bringing your feeling and your passion. It's not anybody else's. It's yours. It's unique. And I appreciate that you share that, and people can agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. It's really that I'm just so glad that I had the opportunity to share this on an energetic level where, you're not afraid to be honest. I'm not afraid to be honest. And when you have that kind of an energy, I don't know, I feel it, man. Do you feel it?
I'm definitely feeling it.
Yeah.
It's a place to be.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm at home.
Yeah. And the great way to say it, being at home, that's the feeling. And so all I can say is that I would also echo what you'd said, encourage people to follow that path as well, and encourage people to go back home again and remember who they are and get involved and do what they can. I mean, not everybody can get to the levels that you've gotten to or other people have gotten to, but they can't compare, or maybe they haven't yet.
I'm sure they can. Everybody's got it. There's people that are way ahead of me in lots of areas of life. We've all got to do our bit, and we all need to take responsibility. And for some people, they're doing the bit behind the scenes. Some people need to do the bit in front of the scenes. And you'll just know. Everybody will know what to do. That your heart will guide you and tell you what to do. You'll know from within yourself where to go, what to do, and how to go about it. And that's where all the wisdom and all the knowledge, the know-how, the ability, the capacity, and the power to act, to do, to be will come from. That's where the source of your fundamental purpose will come from in life. That's where it is. Because, yeah, we come here and we're mothers and fathers and sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and friends and husbands and wives and lovers and partners and whatever. That's all fine and dandy, but there's another part to us which is deeper than that, because they're all important, right? They're all karmic stuff and all rebalancing and experiences with other beings and learning and wisdom. Sure, but there's a deeper layer than that to our existence here on Earth. And that is what I call our fundamental purpose. That is the part of us that has the obligation to our mother planet, to the star system we've chosen to incarnate. I call it Father Son, because to me the sun has got a masculine expression at the moment. And, and our humanity. We have an obligation to that. We are that. So what are we doing about it? That's what we need to ask ourselves. And that is our fundamental purpose, which is, to me, it's deeper, a layer deeper than all that other stuff, which I'm not taking away from the other stuff, but just people have forgotten about their fundamental purpose. And once we get in touch with that, wow, you watch how quickly your life changes and how much better you feel about being here, because you're back in that place of love for yourself, love for your mother planet, love for your humanity. And you see the struggles and the problems and the issues that our human family has. And then we go about doing what we can to help it. We're family. We help each other out. We do what we can. There are times that you'd say, nah, I want my space from family. And there are times that you go, all right, let's work this out together.
Wow.
And you get in and you do it.
No, I couldn't agree more. Well, wow, George, this time went by so quick. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun, eh? We'll have to maybe do this again sometime. I think this was absolutely great, and I really want to thank you again for your time and just for, again, sharing your truth and being brave enough to speak your truth and to be doing the work that you're doing. And I can just say that your work has impacted me. And I just wanted to express that gratitude, and I'm just glad I had the opportunity to share this discussion with you. And I look forward to getting it up and sharing it with other people as well. And hopefully, on one level, we can help to inspire other people as well. So, just once again, thank you from the bottom of my heart, George.
Well, thank you again from the bottom of my heart, where there is no bottom.
The bottomless, yes.
It's infinite.
The infinite, yeah.
From the infinite nature of our hearts, thank you for the opportunity to have this discussion, for inviting me on and having this discussion and having a voice. Thank you. I really, truly appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, it's my honor, George, and I'd be honored if at some point we can do it again sometime. And we'll, as things unfold, we'll just track this as it goes and continue to do our very best to put out this love energy and this truth energy, and to face what comes our way, whatever it might be. So I look forward to that. Yeah. Oh, great.
Thank you very much. I'd be honored.
That would be great. Excellent. Well, for me, it's a good night, but for you, I hope you have a great day. I'm talking to you from. You're talking to me from the future, so you're already tomorrow. So we're talking to George from the future here, and anyways, thanks again, George, and I wish you all the best. Have a great week, and I hope to talk again soon.
Thank you, David.
All right. Bye now.
Blessings, mate. See ya.
You too. Bye now.